Tricktrades recap and lesson. This is a good one. I'm gonna teach you guys a thing or two about spotting institutional traps. This is something that I went in and I was talking about over and over and over again live on screen share here this morning. And it was a really interesting morning. Now, we opened up in an interesting spot. So we did gap down. This was yesterday's previous close, and we were watching that for a potential short. Didn't quite make it there, and that's kind of part of it. So hang tight. So we gapped down to here, and we did have a level that we were watching, which is about the 5 EMA, 9 EMA area, plus a trend. Okay, so we do have a little bit of a trend there, a mini trend that I like to call it. And that's the original level that we went long into. So market opens up, takes a quick pop, sells off right down into that level, execute, pay myself. Now we're watching it. And I warn members, as it pops up, it pulls back. And I said, you know what? I don't know about this one. It looks like it wants to hold, okay? And it should push higher up to fill this gap. Now, there's something that's really interesting about this. So we have morning highs. Morning highs here is it took a pop right into pre-market highs. Okay, so pre-market and pre-market highs, like right into it. And then I want to zoom in here. It tried twice. No confirmation on that level. It tried once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. You could even say a 5th time on that, trying to break above, and it could not. It did not like that price point, and that's something that you really need to take note of. It's not that it's just rejecting that level. It tries so many times. It wants nothing to do with that price point. You got to remember, we did gap down. So on this, like I said, it pulled back into natural, and I warn members, this is not a spot to average in or take a secondary trade looking for the push higher. I don't like it. Something's off. The action is off. And sure enough, it comes down, and I end up saying, screw it, I'm going to stop out, because the way this is looking, as soon as this breaks, we're going to get major speed, okay? So once this breaks, because it looks like a long, okay? So let me explain. When we have setups on the charts for an intraday trade, for a day trade, you're going to have a ton of retail loading in at these levels, okay? When something doesn't make sense, if that breaks, it is going to wash hard. Get out. It's not worth it. So I locked in $2,085, $2,065 on that trade. That's good enough for a Monday. And how I use the market, especially on Mondays. Mondays, I'm always cautious. It's always a size down day, no matter what. Why? Because the market is digesting the weekend's information. So news, whatever. There's a lot of information that comes out over the weekend. And then institutional entities will use that information to set traps, okay? And that's what they've done. And it was just something that I saw with the action, and I kept saying over and over again, man, I know it's looking like it's holding. Don't take it. I don't like it. At some point here, this thing's going to sell off, and we're going to have a lot of speed. Now, let's fast forward and look at what the day did. Absolutely to the T of what I saw. Because once this breaks, we're going to have nothing but speed and it fall apart. Now, there could have been news that came out later on in the day, but that's part of it. People will say things like that in a recap or something that I say. They'll comment on it and they'll say, oh, but it was news, or, oh, it was data that came out. If you think for a fucking second that they are not privy to that information prior to that information coming out, you're fucking dense, period. People want to talk about market manipulation, the stock market's manipulated, the stock market's rigged, but yet they don't want to fully believe it. It's like, it is. So own it and look for opportunities where if you were an institutional trader, if you were a wolf, where would you set your prey up? Like, people need to start thinking 1 and 2 steps ahead, man, because if you don't, you're fucked. Because I guarantee there are so many traders out there that absolutely got hammered on this long. I guarantee it. And all it takes is some real simple, just analyzing the chart from a very common sense perspective and looking at it and asking questions out loud. So this is how I do it. When I see stuff like this and it holds a valid support level, a dual layer of support, And it comes up and it pulls back and then it comes up and it has multiple times to break that level. Why can it not confirm above? See, a healthy look to this chart, it should blast above that area and then pull back to remount that natural area of support, which would be pre-market highs and morning highs. That's what would be normal and natural market behavior. And it isn't. And this is where a lot of people fail. They fail to recognize this action on the chart. See, a lot of people think price action is strictly level 2 and the tape and all this shit. Just look at the fucking chart. The chart will tell you everything you need to know. So on that note, folks, if you want to learn how to truly trade and spot this stuff like a professional day trader, all of this stuff gets alerted to you prior to it happening. Not after, not some hindsight bullshit. This is prior to it happening. Why wouldn't you want to learn from a trader that has 11 years experience in the market that can point this shit out to you? Why would you want to continuously spin your wheels and guess at when and where you're taking a trade? Why not actually learn to trade like a true professional and spot this institutional bullshit? You can capitalize greatly on it. So on that note, folks, I hope you have a wonderful evening. It's time to make that decision. How many more videos are you going to watch? How many more times are you going to fucking lose and blow up your accounts before you finally get your shit together and learn from a proper coach? That's all I got to say, guys. Have a great evening. Adios.